right, folks, John Rush from Drive Radio. My son Richard is behind the camera, and we're going to review today the 2015 Acura TLX. This is the all-wheel drive version. Now, they make the TLX in a front-wheel drive version or an all-wheel drive version. This happens to be an all-wheel drive version. They call this the super handling all-wheel drive version. This car, we don't have a sticker price with a price on it, but if you equip this car roughly the way this car is that we drove, the way it's equipped, optioned out, etc., it's about $45,000. TLX starts in the low 30s is really where they start out with, depending upon how you want to equip it, front wheel drive, all wheel drive, etc. One thing about the TLX that I found interesting is their front wheel drive only version actually comes with rear wheel steering, which means the rear wheels actually steer on the car. Helps when you're going around corners, parking, things like that. You can look at all that on the Acura website, by the way. But the TLX, this has got the V6 engine in it. Again, all-wheel drive. Let's walk around. Richard, showing the front. One thing I loved about this car is the LED, the lighting, the projection type lighting up front. Really worked well. I took a trip on this to the Western Slope over to Grand Junction, about 4 hours each way, 4.5 hours each way. This car works fantastic. I've got one complaint I'll talk about on the interior when we get to that part, but this car works phenomenal. You know, Acura, you've done a great job. For the price of this car, what you get, the equipment that's on it, etc. This particular press car, we would guesstimate would be about $45,000, and it literally has all the bells and whistles that you can imagine. Lane departure, so lane assist, lane departure, adaptive cruise. This car literally, you know, going on that trip, I-70 all the way to Grand Junction and back, literally drives itself. You know, you have to hang on to the wheel, or it tells you that you're not doing it correctly. So you literally have to hang on to the wheel. But as far as keeping things safer, you know, I drove at night both ways. You know, my vision isn't what it used to be, especially in the mountains. We had a little bit of snow, some different things going on at times. You know, that particular feature on this car, the lane departure, just works fantastic. And even when the stripes are really faded, it still keeps you between the lanes and works out really well. So again, we're going to continue on with the review. The Acura TLX 2015 model. And again, you can see super handling all-wheel drive. That's what this particular model, that's what all this stands for. Super handling all-wheel drive, and this car does handle and work great. We're going to go to the interior, or we're going to go for a drive first. We'll do a drive, then we'll come back, we'll do the interior, so stay with us. All right, folks, we're going to do the driving portion now. Again, 2015 Acura TLX. One of the cool features I want to show you real quick before we get going, I'll back up and show you the screen and how that looks, which we normally do. Nice, cool center stack that they've done, and they've really cleaned things up by doing a full push button transmission control. There's no gear shifter up here, nothing down below. To go to reverse, you literally just push a button back. You're now in reverse. You want to go neutral, drive. This is the different modes, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But you can look at the screen now and see that we're in reverse. It does turn, so if I'm going to, you know, go ahead and turn, whatever I'm going to do, it'll show me in the screen how that works. When I go to drive, that goes off, of course. If I want to turn things on, I can just push the radio on and do all those different things that you can do to control the radio, etc. Right there, we just push the button, things come on. I can turn the sound up and down, etc. I do like the fact it has a knob, so Acura, thank you. That's really great. Some of the Hondas don't have knobs, and I really like the fact that it has a knob. One of the things Richard and I talk about quite a bit on the Acura is we're getting used to it. The more of these we drive, the more we're getting used to it. The dual screen is sort of weird to get used to. You control most of the radio functions in that here, but yet it shows up on top. I can hit a nav button, and that shows us what's going on with the navigation. There's an info screen I can hit. I can scroll through things with the knob here and different options. Again, these are things that you need to get in, play with. Don't take our word for it. You need to be the one to look at this stuff yourself and not rely on us for that. You really do need to do it that way and drive the car. We talk about that a lot. But we'll go into some of the steering wheel controls real fast. All of your adaptive cruise stuff is here, which you can adjust. Lane departure and adaptive cruise here. Volume knobs are over here. Answering the phone is here, and of course your lights, wipers, all that stuff is in front of you. There's also some buttons way over on the side over here that I can kind of show you, which turn on some of the features I just mentioned, lane assist, etc. That's all right there. Anti-slip, what have you, all of that's right there along the side. One thing I want to show you before I give this back to Richard, sorry Richard, as far as the different modes, there's a button over here right below the D, right below the drive button, and when I hit that is where it changes. We can go to normal, sport, sport plus, and then when it kicks into Sport Plus, it changes the way the vehicle actually drives, shifts, handles, all those different things. I drove this car literally the majority of the time in Econo. got 32 miles to the gallon, and it really worked out fantastic. So, but again, it's a very sporty car. If you put it in Sport Plus, I drove, again, we took a trip to Grand Junction and back, drove part of the way back in Sport Plus, down the mountain. Car works phenomenal, handles well, drives well, etc. But let's start driving, and Richard's sitting in the back seat, as you can see, and away we go. I'll kind of give you an idea of hitting some of these bumps. It is a fairly smooth car for its shorter wheelbase. It's smooth, it's quiet. Again, the only complaint that I've got with this car is the seats. I talk more about that as we go on in the rest of the review. I'll get into more of that and the details of it. But Richard seemed to think they were fine. I think they're a little hard. My wife thought they were hard. Again, we'll talk more about that. But the 2015 Acura TLX, this car works great. I mean, for the price, again, $45,000 roughly for this exact car, fully equipped. It's got every bell and whistle on it you can imagine. The car literally will drive itself going down even a mountain road, windy roads. We went through some construction, all those different things. This car is phenomenal in the way all of that worked. It really is a very functional car and works fantastic. Sound system, all of that, again, just fantastic. You know, Acura, you've hit a home run, done a really good job on this car. I did not, when I got to looking at the sticker price of this car, I did not expect to see it in the 40s. I will tell you right now, I was pleasantly surprised to see the car in the 40s. Now, some of you would say, John, that's still a lot of money for a car. Yeah, you know it is. $45,000, that's still a lot of money. But when you compare it to what else is in the marketplace, that's a really good value for this particular car. So, guys, let's go back. We'll continue to do the interior. Stay with us. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed the drive. And again, we say this all the time. Go out, drive these cars, get behind the wheel. You know, sometimes the trolls out on the web, or some of you guys out there will criticize us for different things. You know, we can only talk about so many things on the car. You know, do we know every single car like the back of our hand? No, I'll be the first to admit there's probably cars out there you know more about than we do, because we drive a different car virtually every week. We've got a lot of things going on. This is not my job. I have a business that I run and other things that I actually take care of, another radio show that I do, etc. So we review these cars, we drive them, we do the best we can. But as always, you go out, dig up the information, look at the manufacturer's websites, look at our reviews, but most of all, get out, get behind the wheel, and actually drive the car. So let's talk about the trunk. We'll do that real quick. Got a button here, opens it up. This car is interesting. It's got a storage compartment back here, which is really kind of a cool thing. And then under here, this car has no spare tires. So if you lift this panel up, make sure I remove these, you can see it's got a little compressor in there, and that's what you're doing for if you've got a flat. There is no spare tire on this particular car. So it gives you a little more trunk room. You're going to start seeing that more and more, I believe. That's one of my predictions. If you want to fold the seats down, Richard, you can show them there's a little lever up here. You pull this out, the seats fold down. Again, if you want to put longer things in, get the seats folded down. Gives you more carrying capacity that way. We'll shut the trunk, come around the back seat. Which again, nothing fancy. Little Colorado snow brush is in this particular car. Again, this seat we have all the way back. And some of you always ask, I'm 5'10", so I'm going to climb in here and show you what this is like. But this seat's all the way back, and I still have plenty of room. I'm 5'10". Now, if I was 6 foot, you know, a little taller, longer legs, you may want to move this forward. But again, this is all the way back. The passenger right now has a ton of room in this particular car. So nice roomy back seat, very comfortable. The headliner with this particular car and the sunroof, it is a little bit lower. You can see the dip in this up here. It might be hard on camera to see, but the roof is a little lower. If I had a hat or something on, you know, again, if I was 6 foot, it'd get a little tight in the rear seat. But again, not bad. This car actually works well, and it's a very, very comfortable car as far as that's concerned. So I'll open the door here for Richard. I'll come around the other side. All right, going through the rest of the interior. One of my complaints, and it wasn't just me. My wife actually did the same trip that I was talking about last weekend. We went over to see some of our family on the western slope, and one of the things about this car that Acura, if you're listening, and again, I'm gonna get criticized from some of you out there, but you know what? It is what it is. The seats in this car are not as comfortable as I would expect from a luxury car. So Acura, if you're listening, these seats, especially the bottom down here, they're not that padded. They feel fairly hard, and when you've sat in this car for 4.5 to 5 hours, you're ready to get out. And no offense, Acura, a car of this stature, you should not want to get out of. You should want to stay in it because of how comfortable the seats are. Now, I realize you've made this car for some sporty features, and it's got different modes that you can drive in that we talked about in the driving portion and all of that, and that's great. but the car still needs to be comfortable. So, you know, I'm not going to go through the rest of the infotainment. We did quite a bit of that when we were actually driving the car, and we talked about all of that then. But again, the 2015 Acura TLX, this is the all-wheel drive version. One thing I didn't show you in the driving portion is the console, because that's hard to do while we're driving. You've got your power outlets in here, which are kind of nice. Auxiliary port, etc. Again, as far as actually getting in this car, driving it, using it, etc., it works out extremely well. It's got a storage compartment here and also one underneath it here, which is kind of cool. You can put your phone or whatever you want to down in there. As far as actually usability of the car, works great. Again, my only complaint, hard seats, makes it a little bit uncomfortable, especially for a really long trip, but I like this car really well. Again, we averaged 31 miles to the gallon, 32 miles to the gallon, which is really great. This car works fantastic, lots of power. Again, I'm John Rush, Richard Rush behind the camera, Drive Radio. Watch us every week on YouTube. The channel is Drive Radio, all one word. You can find us on our website at drive-radio.com. You can listen to us live on the TuneIn app, 560thesource.com. Either one of those will find us on the weekends. You can listen to us live. But again, we appreciate this. Thanks for watching. Give us some feedback, and we'll talk to you soon.